Hey everybody, welcome to Optimize Every Day, where we focus on small things that make powerful changes that lead to a better life. Today we're talking about breaking the habits of negative thinking. Hi there, I'm Doug, and again, this is Optimize Every Day. So today we're talking about breaking the habit of negative thinking. So, habits that are surrounding negative thinking are habits that we have that oftentimes we don't even know we're doing unless we take time to look and evaluate ourselves and see that we're doing them. A lot of habits are easy to see, like having a morning coffee or our basic morning routine or our evening routine or bedtime routine. Those habits are just ingrained. We do them. And if something bumps it off, you know, it's not that big of a deal. But we still notice when those routines get um, hampered or bothered or changed, and it can throw off our day when things aren't as we expect they should be. So, habits are not easy to break because they have an ingrained conditioning involved in them. So, why do we need, or how do we even recognize when we're having bad habits? So, when we have bad habits, we need to identify them. So when something goes wrong or something not isn't going exactly the way we expect, and we come up with a negative thought that is associated with it, if we when we recognize those negative thoughts, then we can then begin the process of changing that negative thought to a positive thought. Now, if you're thinking, hey, I made a mistake, but it's something to grow from, that's a positive habit and you want to keep that. But if you do something and it fails and you go, oh, I'm just not good at this, I can't do it, then that's a negative habit and we need to rewrite the script around it. So, with the negative habit, when we have a failure, we need to stop saying, oh, I'm no good and I can't do this, and rather change it and say, I learned something from this, now I can grow from it. And when you are able to recognize it and grow from it, then you can then change it. It's a situation where the negative habit then is replaced with a positive habit, and you're on your way to having a better attitude. So, like I said, we need to recognize negative thought patterns in order to fix things up. Some of the things that we might notice when we're doing or have negative thought patterns is you assume the worst in situations, or you may focus on what went wrong instead of what went right. You tell yourself, hey, I'm not good enough, smart enough, or capable enough. Um, you may dwell on past mistakes that prevent you from growing from those mistakes rather than focusing on the positive and learning from those mistakes. These are automatic thought patterns, things that we just do naturally, that we have the capability to change. We just have to recognize it. If we don't notice them, then we can't fix them. But if we notice them, then we can change them. So just like your morning coffee, if you say, hey, I'm drinking too much coffee, then you want to replace it with something else. Maybe you're replacing it with a flavored water or something that's healthier and has less caffeine. If you're noticing it, you can fix it. Again, coffee with water. If you don't fix it, then you're going to continue to have the issues that you have, keeping with the bad habits that you have. So replacing negative thoughts with positive ones is an important step. So how do we break that cycle? Simple. We replace the habit of negative thinking with more positive and constructive thinking. So we can identify those negative thoughts. And this is important because you can't change what you don't recognize or know. So what you can do is next time you catch yourself in a negative thought loop, ask yourself, is that helping me or holding me back? And if it's holding me back, then you know it's a negative thought, and then you're able to change it to a positive. Reframe the negative thought with a positive thought. When you do this, you're telling your brain a story, and your brain will begin to believe what it's being told. So if you continue to tell yourself the negative story, you're going to have the negative story. But if you replace that with a positive story, then you're going to have the positive story. So instead of, I'm having a terrible time with this, say, hey, I'm learning and I'm improving. And instead of, I always fail, I'm learning how to move forward, because eventually you will be able to succeed. Next step is create a gratitude attitude. Being gracious and having a gratitude attitude is a shift from negative thinking to positive thinking. So every day, to bolster that gratitude attitude, you can write down a few things each and every day that are positive and show gratitude for where you're at or how you're behaving, so that you have a positive outlook in life, and you're bedding that into your brain. Next thing is you can change your environment. Environment has a lot to do with how you behave. You gain habits in certain environments. So if you go to a specific convenience store or gas station, oftentimes you'll buy the same things when you go to those places, and it becomes a habit for you to do that. So if you change the convenience store or gas station you go to, that environmental change makes it easy to flip things up and change things out. And then you can create a more positive behavior. And then when you go to the other environment, then it allows you to have a thought in your head, hey, instead of picking up, the candy bar, you're going to pick up a piece of fruit. Something simple like that. But either way, you're taking it from a negative to a positive. It works because often surroundings influence your mindset. So changing your space around, making changes to the environment help you change your mindset. And then you have the option to create a positive mindset over a negative mindset. Next is take action on what you can control. So often there's situations where there are things that happen that are beyond your control. And you need to be able to recognize what you can't control and what you can, and then effectuate change on the things that you can control. By making changes on the areas that you can control, you're going to create a more effective situation where you're taking control of your situation and making it a positive rather than focusing on the negative. So, like I said, we need to recognize negative thought patterns in order to fix things up. Some of the things that we might notice when we're doing or have negative thought patterns is you assume the worst in situations, or you may focus on what went wrong instead of what went right. You tell yourself, hey, I'm not good enough, smart enough, or capable enough. You may dwell on past mistakes that prevent you from growing from those mistakes rather than focusing on the positive and learning from those mistakes. These are automatic thought patterns, things that we just do naturally, that we have the capability to change. We just have to recognize it. If we don't notice them, then we can't fix them. But if we notice them, then we can change them. So just like your morning coffee, if you say, hey, I'm drinking too much coffee, then you want to replace it with something else. Maybe you're replacing it with a flavored water or something that's healthier and has less caffeine. If you're noticing it, you can fix it. Again, coffee with water. If you don't fix it, then you're going to continue to have the issues that you have, keeping with the bad habits that you have. So staying on track and avoiding old patterns is not always easy. The tough part is sticking with the new patterns. Just like breaking any bad habit, the urge to go back to old thinking remains. But the longer you stay on track and do the positive, the more it ingrains in your head, and the easier it is to stay on track and do the positive, creating that, let's say it, the gratitude attitude. It's a wonderful thing. Be patient with yourself. Change takes time. You can't expect to go from having negative behaviors to having positive behaviors overnight. And you have to learn how to catch yourself, so that's going to take time. Celebrate your wins. Every time you catch yourself in a negative behavior and you change it to a positive, that's a win. Celebrate that win. Recognize that, hey, you are doing what you need to be doing and not falling into a negative behavior pattern that doesn't help you. Keep going even when it feels hard. The more you practice, the better you'll get at it. So when you're out there looking at how you're responding to things that happen and you catch those negative behaviors and you change it to a positive, it's going to get easier to catch the negatives and create the positives. And eventually you not even need to catch the negative because you'll just do the positive. So it's an action. You have to do it. So breaking bad habits is not easy, and creating new habits is not easy either. But when you're working at it, it's much easier than to allow it to happen naturally. So take the time to ensure that you're having an action that shows that you're learning and growing by taking the action to put out a gratitude attitude and be positive. So my challenge to you is to make a comment in the comment section. Tell me what negative behavior you are going to change, and then tell me how you're going to do it, and let's see how much positivity we can create. And if you find this video helpful, hit the like and subscribe and ding the bell if you want a notification, so you won't miss the next one. And have a great day. Thank you so much, and optimize every day.